Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the North East Non-League Show. Looking back now with Mark Anderson. Mark, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
No bother, thanks, James. I know you contacted us a while ago, and yeah, I kept forgetting the date. But then obviously you text us during the week, and so it's good time. And I had a night out last night in Liverpool, so I'm a bit tired tonight. So this will do the job. This will keep us up.
I think I seen a thing on your Facebook story yesterday. I think I hope that's not today.
No, it was last night. I straight up played Chester. I had Chester away yesterday, so we just had a bit of a team do. I haven't had one really, and got a brand new squad really.
Yeah,
halfway through the season, so it was kind of a bit of a get together, like a bit team bonding. So it was decent.
nah, brilliant. Need them. But again, thank you to our sponsors: Baywatch TV, Sunderland West End, Durham City FC, Jade Bell, and again, proud to support If You Care Share Foundation as well. So we've just got down to the early days now, Mark. You spent a lot of time in a youth career at Sunderland. How did that all come around, and did you enjoy your time there?
Yeah, it was good. I think I was there all the way through secondary school. I'd been in and around signing there like just before, maybe a year or two before, and it didn't work out. I was playing for like the district team, quite a few of us, and Carl Magnier, who's
Yes, yeah.
Carl. We played together in the district team, and we both went to Leeds at the time, but it was kind of too far away. We weren't really allowed to play games. We were just allowed to train. So Carl stayed there, and I made the decision to go to Sunderland, where I didn't want to travel all the way to Leeds and not play. So, I went to Sunderland, and I was there 6 years. Yeah, I left when I was 16, just when they were giving out the YTs, and then it was obviously a good 5 years. Obviously, Jamie Chandler was there. Jamie's my age. We had a good group, really. We had kind of a mixed group that we had kind of lads from the year below played up, and as the years progressed, we kind of reduced our numbers in our age group and kind of had a mixed age group. And it was, to be fair, quite a few of the lads in our team kind of kicked on and have played some kind of professional football, whether it be the lower level or the top end. Like Hendo, who's obviously Liverpool captain and England international. You've got people like Waggy and Jack Colback, lads who have played in the Prem for years. And you've got like me, Chand, Davy Dowser, Michael Kay, Nathan Luscombe. We had quite a good group. So yeah, most lads in that group kind of played to a decent level.
That's some good names there as well. You leave Sunderland, and in 2010 you make the move to America. I mean, it's kind of quite a good move from England to go straight over there. How did that all come around?
I'd left Sunderland 2006, I think, and then I kind of had a spell where I played for Chestertown under 18s. Andrew Muxworthy kind of used to put quite a group together where it was like all the lads really that had been released in that 2 years before you go to men's football. We always used to have a really good team around there North East. So I went there for 2 years, and then I went to Gateshead College with Bryce for a year. I was going to go to America, but then kind of Bryce had talked us around to going to Gateshead College for a year, so I stayed and done that, and then made the move to Barry University in Miami. So it was an easy decision. When someone offers you the chance to go to Miami, you know what I mean? 19-year-old, just eyes lighting up. But it is a tough decision. You think you don't really think about it at the time, but then when you get on the plane and you're on your own, I mean, you're going somewhere that, and I've been able to visit once, but you're on your own. You haven't got your parents to fall back on. I'd never done any washing. I'd looked after myself. I had my mum and dad. You know what I mean? So it was kind of a big decision, but like I say, you just get on with it, and it's kind of an easy transition when the sun's shining every day and you're playing football as well. You know what I mean? I'm not just going over there to do something that I don't want to do. It's you're playing football, and obviously you've got your university work on the side, but yeah, it was quite a smooth transition.
Definitely. And like you say, leading up that move, you're leaving your family, your friends behind. Was that kind of the two hardest things as well, but also a big part of growing up at that point?
Yeah, I think you have that, idea you're going over there just to play footy and party, really. But you get there and you realise you've got schoolwork to do, and if you don't do your university work, you can't play. And it took us quite a bit to knuckle down, but I concentrated on my schoolwork, and then got a decent degree at the end of it, and got decent grades, and yeah, and like I say, it was quite a both worked well. The footy was going well, and the schoolwork was going well, and you're living in Miami, you've got quite a decent life outside of football. So it was it was unbelievable. 4 years, friends for life, lad. People that I never thought I'd meet. I've got friends all over the world. Yeah, it's 4 years that I'll never forget, and it was great.
No, absolutely amazing. I mean, we laughed on there before. I mean, Miami Shores, Florida. It must have been living the dream there. I mean, what was the kind of where you were staying? Was it close to the beaches? What was it like there?
Yeah, I lived on the digs. It was in the university. Like my roommate, my best pal from university, I ended up becoming best friends with. He was a baseball player. You know what I mean?
Right.
I never met a baseball player in my life, and then he was an usher at my wedding, and I was an usher at his wedding.
Amazing.
So yeah, we're still best friends. We speak, every week, and lads from the tennis team, Germany, we've all stayed close. And if there's a big do or a wedding that we can make, we'll always try and catch up. And yeah, I lived 10 minutes from the beach. But like I say, it's when the sun's shining every day, it just makes everything better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does.
You're getting up out of bed, it's not a problem. Shorts on every day, and yeah, it was just obviously it gets you out when you're not stuck up in school, and I used to travel about when we used to go to games, and used to go to some places like Alabama, and like just in the middle of nowhere, and you just think like, how the lads cope here? It must be so hard that you can't really. There's nothing really to do. But I was fortunate enough that I landed, and I got the opportunity to go to Miami, and it was the social life was entertaining.
No, but I'm sitting here nodding, saying, "Yeah, it'd be great being on that sun all day." But I would even factor 70 on every day over there.
Yeah, at the time I had like a permanent town when I come back. It like faded after like 2 years. It was, but obviously then I had 7 years really in South Florida when I graduated and ended up signing Fort Lauderdale. So I stayed like close to my university, like 30 minutes up the road. So it was like that was an easy transition as well. So it all fell into place. Really, I got lucky.
Oh, excellent. Even Stephen, thank you very much for watching, and everyone that's tuned in so far. Really appreciate your support as always. It's getting back to the USA, and you played at Barry University, scoring goals, assists, awards for player of the season as well. At that point over there, was there some bigger teams looking? There was any interest from England at that point as well?
Yeah, obviously you've got like the college system where it's like based on like you've got like Division 1, Division 2, but it's not based on like how good the football is. It's like the size of the university. So mine was like Barry University was like a private Catholic university. So we weren't really D1, but we had a really good team, and some of the teams that we used to play against would beat Division 1 schools, just that their schools are way bigger, like Florida State and big, massive, I've got like 300,000 students. So there was opportunities to move to a bigger school, and could have gone to like a University of Connecticut, who's got like a really big, famous athletics program over there. But I was happy where I was, so was doing well. And then obviously you've got 4 years to complete.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah. So I wanted to finish my degree. Obviously, I was lucky enough to get a scholarship where me fees and everything was paid for, but obviously parents funded kind of my pocket money at the time. So obviously I wanted to finish my education kind of for myself and for them, and then just see where it went from there. And I got a degree in criminal law. I had a partner at the time who I lived over there with. So I was had the idea to stay, maybe go to law school, but then the chance come round to I got the opportunity to go to like a bit of a combine where you get invited, and all the coaches and pro teams go and watch, and if they're interested, they'll contact your university and kind of make a link that way. And obviously Fort Lauderdale was up the road. They invited us in for pre-season training. It was like my last kind of 3 months of university, so a couple of my lecturers were giving us mornings off to go train with Fort Lauderdale, and as long as I was getting my work done, and so I trained and played in some pre-season games, because the season runs from like starting in February, finishes November. So I was just going up there to train with them, played in some pre-season games, and they offered us a kind of a year contract. It was peanuts, but I was in a position not to turn it down. You know what I mean? The chance to play professional football, my first pro deal. I took it, and I backed myself to get a new one and improve myself, and it was kind of like performance, both bonus related kind of contract. I was getting a set
Mhm.
wage, but it wasn't nothing special. But if I played and done well, and the team was doing well, then I was rewarded. So I kind of wanted to kick on, and I got lucky. I played most of the games that my first season as a rookie, as they call it out there, and I
Yeah.
done really well and got a young player of the year in the league, and signed a new deal at the end of that season, and stayed for another 3 years.
No, it's amazing, really. I mean, for people that hasn't kind of seen the setup, how does all the setup work? So they're like the college football, semi-pro MLS. Is there like kind of step ups as well, or
Yeah, well,
how does it all? Yeah.
yeah, it's like college. You've got obviously your college football, then you've got like college. You can stay out and play. I'll speak to that about that in a minute, about the summer league. I went to Baton Rouge, and you've got like summer leagues for college lads and lads who just want a decent level in the summer.
Right.
And then when you graduate university, you either go MLS, or it's massive now, the league below the MLS. Kind of MLS clubs have got the reserve teams in that league now.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's huge. But I was in the NASL, so there was like us, Minnesota, a couple of teams in Canada, Ottawa, Edmonton, San Antonio, New York Cosmos. So who else? Tampa. So there's quite a few clubs out there now, but it was like the NASL, so it was like the second division really. But that level, like I say, the second division now has grew that big. I wouldn't like to guess how many clubs they're huge now, and it's grown. Obviously, the MLS clubs are dropping their reserve teams into that now, and it's huge. It's just grown all the time over there. It was massive when I was there, but obviously now it's just taken off.
No, it's really good. Like you say, you mentioned Baton Rouge Capital as well, and it's a great season there, settling in America, but loving your football. You just mentioned some of the places there. I mean, you've settled in by now, the football's going well. You must have been love the travelling as well, just seeing all these new places, and just amazing, really, isn't it?
Oh, you're just lucky, really. Like, I got the chance to. It was like a kind of two English lads set it up in the summer.
Right.
Obviously, a big backing from a chairman that we had. He was John Hamid. He lived in New Orleans and set this team up. We lived in New Orleans. Baton Rouge is like 45 minutes up the road, out the outskirts. But we got the chance to live in New Orleans for a summer. You know what I mean? I couldn't dream of doing that. You know what I mean? We live literally 2 streets up from Bourbon Street, and the way it happens, like one of my best mates now, he moved there in the summer. Tom Settle, he's from Portsmouth. Like, we go everywhere, trips together in the summer now. We've stayed like best mates, and then funny, I met Joe Tate for the first time. Who now I play with.
Oh yes, yeah.
So we've obviously been close friends since, and I met him that summer. He came up and played. So that's how football turns. Like, obviously, we spoke about before, like Sunderland, Jamie Chandler. Now I'm back playing with Chandler for the last 5-6 years. So kind of our careers started together and kind of finishing together. And that's where I met Tate, and we got to the Final Four in Portland and got beat in the semi-final up in Oregon. So we had a fantastic summer, got well looked after. It was just an unbelievable experience, really. And, you don't really get these chances back home. So kind of being out there and being in the college system gave me that chance to play there. And it was just another way to showcase yourself, really, because a lot of scouts are watching that and getting the chance to, see what you can do.
Definitely. Like you say, you mentioned Fort Lauderdale getting the pro contract, and again, it's scoring goals. But I know I've heard a couple of the good, like just cracking goals from all over the pitch. Really, some of the goals that were flying in. I mean, you must have been so confident that time to think, right, can I get to that next level now, or kind of what's next for yourself?
Yeah, it's like I say, football's about luck and taking chances, and kind of football lads that play football know you on anything really you get confidence. You know you're going to be playing. There's nothing really in the back of your mind that's you turn up and you know you're going to be starting, and you kind of just get in a rhythm, and like I say, goals were just, you get lucky sometimes. Like I say, with confidence, you feel like a bit invincible. You score from anywhere.
Yeah,
they were just kind of going in that year. You know what I mean? I've tried them before, fly in the stands, go over the stands, but that year kind of just everything fell into place, and goals were going in. Every time I had an effort, or I felt like I could score from anywhere. So it was just kind of, you get in that rhythm, and you keep the manager back you, and your teammates back you, and it just kind of all falls into place.
Yeah, I mean, the fans are massive over there as well. I mean, we're one of the fans' favourites down there. Obviously, them goals flying in.
Yeah, it was kind of a close knit club, really.
Right.
We had decent crowds. We used to get maybe like 4,000 or 5,000. But
Oh, well,
obviously,
yeah.
I've become quite close with a couple of the lads, a couple of the fans. Really, I still speak to them now, and they used to have a thing similar to yourself where they'd get together on a Thursday night and do a bit of like sit around the table, bit of a podcast with beers and stuff.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
I got to the point where I was just going along just to became mates really, and I'd go on the odd time, and it was nice. Yeah, it was kind of a bit of a family feel to the club, and yeah, it was a shame when I left, but that's football. Everything happens, and good things come to an end. But yeah, I enjoyed the 4 years I had there, and it was an unbelievable experience. Yeah.
Excellent. And then you spent a year with Carolina Real Hawks. But at this time, were you kind of enjoying football, or were you sensing a move back to home at this point?
No, I was enjoying it. I was the last year in Fort Lauderdale. The year in Carolina, I met me now wife, girlfriend at the time, so it was kind of a long distance relationship. So yeah, I was when I'd left Fort Lauderdale, I went to Germany to I went for a couple of months to MSV Duisburg, and it was looking likely that I was going to sign there. Then that didn't happen, and then Carolina, obviously we're in constant contact, and we just want to know whether if I was interested, if that fell through, and I made the move there. Kind of last minute, I enjoyed it. I met some great people there, but it kind of didn't go to plan. I wouldn't say I fell out with the manager, just really didn't see eye to eye.
Yeah.
I wasn't a bad egg on out. Just kind of, I started off, and then it went the other way, and I wasn't playing, and you just you train Monday to Friday, and then you're not involved on a Saturday. It's you kind of is any point in it really? And then I came home, and obviously over Christmas, and kind of sat down, worked a few things out. Do I want to go back there and have another year contract somewhere else? And you're back at square one at the end of that season. So I made the decision just to move back and begin 2016. And yeah, and I hadn't really thought about where I was going to go. I had a couple of clubs I wanted to go on trial, but I got to the point where I was sick of going on trial, traveling about, living out in parks and that. Just wanted to get settled, and bought a house here, bought the house that I'm in now, and I wasn't working. I had about a year and a half off when I first come back, and just done my house up, and hadn't really thought about football. Then Spenny came round.
Yeah, really good. I mean, Stephen's just finishing off on the USA part. You just mentioned there, Stephen, no one scouts your games. What effect, if any, does it have on you mentally?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, them combines are quite awkward. You go there, and you just go in there, so everyone's trying to impress.
Yeah,
it's totally different to playing a normal game with teammates. But the scouts for a reason. Maybe they see stuff that other people can't. They're not really looking for. But I just went there and played my game. I went there with my college coach took us along, played a game. Done all right, done well, and then I had the chance to go to. I was going to go to Edmonton, but like I say, I had university to finish, so I couldn't really go. So Fort Lauderdale was kind of just fit in really, and I didn't think anything of it. I'd just go along and see how training goes, and I'd done well, and then offered us something. But yeah, like them, it does change it a bit, because you make an error and it's at the back of your mind. You're getting watched. You know what I mean? Like, you can't see it. It doesn't change, but you've just got to try and blank it out and have that bit of mentality about you where you're not really bothered. And I think if you just go with anything's a bonus at the end of it, you just play the way you play, and it's difficult as well, because quite a lot of the lads that you play with over there, and especially in South Florida, a lot of lads don't speak English. It's quite a Hispanic. It's quite a Hispanic place. You know what I mean? You go to Miami, it's not really like anything like the rest of the country. So a lot of the lads that I played with didn't really speak English, or if they did, it was very little.
Yeah, no, really good. About halfway now. Everyone that's watching, obviously, thank you so much. Nearly getting all that double figures there now as well. Really appreciate your support. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe as well. Getting back to Spenny, you joined Spenny in 2016. Jason Ainsey in charge. How did that move come around, and were you kind of glad to be back playing just at one club and just wanting to, like you say, mentioned before, they're getting settled down and enjoying your football again?
Yeah, I knew Jason from, I was like 17 or 18 maybe, that I'd come across him I'd played for Pelton on a Sunday morning once.
Right, yes.
He played once, I think, for Hetton against me, and we kind of kept in touch, and and I'd come back and I'd just shot him a message on Twitter. I think just as like a go train while I was back. I'd obviously I just wanted to keep ticking over. I didn't just want to sit about.
Yeah.
This was like at the time when I didn't know what I was going to do, and I was just going along training. Obviously, I knew Tate was there. I knew quite a lot of the lads. And I was Griffey. I was just going along training with him, and then obviously you get in and Jay's. You know what? I don't know if you've met Jay before, but he puts a bite on straight away if the chance had come. But I hadn't had international claims or anything, and I was going, like I say, going about a few clubs training. I was going in with Mags at Hartlepool a couple of times, and just to keep ticking over really. And I hadn't really made my mind up what I was going to do. And then, when I decided I was going to stay, obviously, I was comfortable at Spenny training. I knew the lads, and I just thought it was, just felt right and thought it was the right move. And I've been there ever since.
No, it was really good. I mean, that first season, amazing, really. At the FA Cup run against MK Dons, a late charge for the league. Since finished second as well. What was that feeling coming into that camp, going to them playoffs at that point?
Yeah, so I came in the January. Me, Dowser, and Gotti, Craig Gott. We signed in the January, and I think the league. I think it was impossible to catch Warrington. I think Warrington won it. Yeah, I think Warrington won it. I came in the January, and we went on a massive run. And it was kind of crucial, really, that we did that, because in the playoffs in our league, the highest seed gets the home game. So
yes,
we got lucky and played semi-final Burskov, and then we played Nantwich, who were also close to us in the league. So we played them in the final, beat them, and then that was like the end of I only had a half season there, and then that's when like all the core local lads, Curtis, Chandler, Rammer, Tatey, we were all like coming together. They came at the end of that season when all them lads left Gateshead.
No, it was really good. Like you say, you beat Nantwich, then Stourbridge to win promotion to the National League North. How special was that going up? Was that, like you say, it always seems to be like a tight group at Spennymoor, and it must be nice for obviously like a local team like that to get high as the Conference North at that point.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Like I say, the local lads, like it's just you don't really think about it now. It's just kind of like second nature to you, that you turn up 3 times a week with the same lads that you have for like 6 or 7 years, and eventually it's going to come to an end. But it's just been an unbelievable group. We've had a lot of players through the club.
Yeah.
But like you just mentioned there, the core group of lads and local lads. And I think that's kind of what the club's based on. Really, it's kind of that close knit family feel to the club, and you see them fans every year, see them fans for away games, and same. You got the same stewards that have been there since our first signed, and it's just that kind of that feel about it. So it's good that we've had that core local lads, and we've had probably like the best years out with some lads. I've spent my prime years there. Chance has, Tails has, Rama has. So we've just been lucky, really. But that we've all stayed together. Obviously, lads have had chances to leave. We've all had chances to move on, but we enjoy it there. We enjoy kind of being like the core group and kind of setting standards. We try and relate to the new players when they come in what the club's about, and hopefully they get on board. And obviously we want everything to be a success. And we've had that over the years. Really, we've had a couple of bad spells, but other than that, I think over the time that we've been there, it's been nothing but success. And as long as you're there or thereabouts for a club like us, it's a good achievement.
Like you say, it's always up there. I mean, just writing it down earlier, the 2017-18 missed out in the playoffs by goal difference. 2018-19 finished 4th, beaten on pens in the final by Chorley. And then before the COVID season, I remember listening to that the penalty shootout on radio as well. I was just want that next level to go at the conference, which would have been absolutely amazing. But obviously, getting so close to that point against Chorley, I know literally could have been playing in the national. That must have been kind of hard to take after that point, was it, for the lads? Yeah,
it was tough. That group that year was a really good year. We had a solid, really solid team, and it wasn't really just the team. It was the environment that we had. Like the lads were unbelievable. We've always had good groups, but that year especially was a top group. And team spirit got us to the final. I mean, obviously we had a good team, but everyone dug in and done the jobs, whether you were playing or not, and it was kind of just everything fell into place. And we got beat by. They missed the first 2 pens as well in that penalty shootout, and we still got beat. But was it a bit of a blessing in disguise that we didn't go up? Kind of, you see these clubs go up, and you think you've got a chance in that league, and there's some big clubs in
Yeah,
that league, and it kind of you want to make that jump, and then you just straight back down, and you've got to start signing because a lot of our group, if we got promoted, wouldn't be able to make that move. Obviously, you have to start recruiting, and we're not full time. Obviously, we're right up the top of the country, so it's hard to attract players, maybe, and it's one of them. Obviously, I'm not saying we're happy with Lawson, but I kind of, when you reflect on it, maybe it was too soon for us to go up. But obviously, we'd want to get promoted. You want that on your CV, but. We got close, but you get beat on pens. It is what it is. You just got to take it on the chin and kind of move on.
And I think that's where fans kind of forget. I mean, we were just chatting before we came on about Newcastle at the minute, and I think it's the same as Spennymoor. I mean, you've had success since God knows how many years ago now, up until after, like, it was pretty much after the COVID, obviously new management. And I think fans kind of forget of the success that you've kind of went from the Northern League up to that level, isn't it? Really, so it's sometimes.
Oh, it's massive, mate. Like, yeah, I mean, fans are fans, mate. It is what it is. Like you say, we spoke about that before about the Newcastle fans, how they expect to be just turning teams over now because you're third. But you just got to sit back and look at some of the teams we play. You know what I mean? Like we played Hereford on
massive.
we played Hereford on Tuesday night. You know what I mean? Like Hereford, a massive club. When you go to some of these away grounds, you realise, no, we're just a little Spennymoor. You know what I mean? Like we're punching. I wouldn't say we're punching well above weight now, but obviously we were. But we've kind of established ourselves now as kind of a top club in that league, and that's down to the players, the staff, the fans, everyone. But you just got to. I know it's not nice when we lose games and maybe we'll play bad, but you're competing against teams. Obviously, York went up last year. You're playing the Bostons. You're playing, Fields. Lads are full time. They're getting well looked after. You know what I mean? Just sometimes you got to think, as long as we're competing, we're there or thereabouts. Obviously, we had a poor start of the season. Well, not start, probably a couple of months, but we're there or thereabouts. We'll be there come the end of the season. I know that. But like I say, if you sit back and reflect on it, we've done, overachieved massively as a club, but that's down to the players, the staff, and the fans, and we've done well. But you've just got to realise who you're playing against sometimes, and just like we mentioned before about the penalty shootout. If we went up, you go into these, you're playing like Notts County and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like
amazing.
You say like Chorley went up, really good team in our league, always there or thereabouts, a bit like ourselves. You know what I mean? But they come straight back down. Kings Lynn straight back down. So the jump's massive. Gateshead, by far the best team in our league last year. Near the bottom now. It's a big ask, and but you obviously, if someone actually trying to get promoted, you would. But it's not the end of the world as long as you're competing in the league you're in, and we're thereabouts come the end of the season. We're doing all right.
Definitely. And you mentioned obviously the COVID coming back and the new management, loan spell at Marsk, and at that time a couple of injuries. Was it tough at that point for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, obviously COVID was tough for everyone. It's just a strange one. It's something that you never experienced before. So we were obviously it was like season finished in March or whenever, and then the next season kind of started and finished straight away again. So that was just 2 years wrote off, really. 2 seasons wrote off, and like you say, a couple of injuries, and then a spell at Mass to try and get me fitness back. And I loved it there. I had a great month. And some lads that I knew before, so that was kind of easy to just blend in. And got it when then the last week of me loan there, obviously the new gaffers come in at Spenny, John Owen Bernard, and then I was kind of touch and go at the beginning. Obviously they'd never seen me play. They know I'd been out on loan. You got to try and prove yourself again, and I'd done that, and never looked back really. Once I got on the team, and we done well. There or thereabouts come the end of the season. I think we've had 2 or 3 more games. Maybe we probably would have made the playoffs.
Yeah.
But we fell short with the start, with the kind of middle of the season that we had. So, and then obviously they haven't. John Owen Bernard kind of left now, and Jason's back in temporary charge with kind of Chans and Lewis. So, but we've got a good group together now, and it looks like we're going to make a little push come the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's looking at Spenny this season. I mean, I think it was about 3 or 4 games ago. Every Friday we always pick kind of games to look out for in the North Eastern League group that we do. And I put in saying, if Spenny went today, I really fancy him to go on and get a late push for the playoffs. And I think since then, he's won 2 or 3. I think it's just a Darlow game. I mean, with the group, obviously, you spoke with Jason. What is the aims now for the rest of the season? Is it trying to sneak into them playoffs or just win as many games as you can?
Oh, definitely. To be honest, like, yeah, you got to the point where obviously you're looking over your shoulder, kind of. Not.
Yeah.
We were in a position where we shouldn't have been in. We knew that. A lot of coming and going players. Massive turnover. We've got a settled squad now. A lot of good local lads, which has helped a lot. Not that the travelling lads were thingy, but it's tough. I can never understand lads that travel that far to play a game of footy just with, when they've got full-time jobs and stuff. It must be hard. And it's kind of hard to settle a group where they're travelling and if they're not playing, and I totally get it. If they're not playing, obviously, are you getting maximum effort out of them? Driving 2 hours to get to train. So we've got kind of a settled local core group with one car school that travel up from like Leeds that way on Yorkshire way, and it's just a decent vibe now. And I wasn't really looking at the table, and then we had a glance on the bus on the way home this morning, and we're like 3 points off the playoffs with a game in hand, maybe a couple of teams, and it's like it's really close. And I wasn't even looking at the table for weeks, and then you put a couple of wins together, and you're like, you're there or thereabouts. So come the end of the season, we'll be all right. We know we've got a group that should and be pushing, and hopefully the next couple of games, we can actually be in the top 7, and that'll be a massive confidence boost to kick on.
Especially, like I say, going to the playoffs, because you always seem to be up there all the time, and it's in the playoffs, and then this season it's kind of down there. Now you're coming. I think sometimes that's the best way to come at. When you look at some of the league tables, you always say that team that always push on late, and they're the ones that always end up going up. It's funny how it happens, isn't it?
No, you're 100% right. There's been some clubs that have been at the top, and it's like Southport were around the playoffs, Gloucester, where they fell out. They've kind of fell out on a bad run of form. Chester, we played Chester yesterday. I don't think they've been beaten 16 games. So, you just, like I say, take game at a time. We felt lucky really because we've got some big games at home on a Tuesday night where, like we played Hereford at home on Tuesday night. I mean, it's you don't want to be like, we wouldn't want to be going down to Hereford on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And I spoke to one of the lads. I think he left the house at 11 o'clock in the morning. So it's kind of, you've got to take advantage of them games. I know they get called off on a weekend sometimes, and you can't help it. But like I say, that's kind of a blessing as well, because you get them back up on a Tuesday night, and it's you start well, and you basically one up. You know what I mean? The travel that they've had to do, you start the game well, and it's kind of you can knock the game off after 30 minutes.
No, really good. And finishing now with our quick fire round. Just 5 questions that we always go for of each guest that comes on. So, number 1, best manager that you've worked under and why?
It was a manager I had at Fort Lauderdale. He was called Gunter Konsteiner. He was, I don't know how he come about, ended up being our manager, but he was kind of head of football at Austria Vienna, or Rapid Vienna, one of them. I think he had some kind of contact with our general manager, and I think he come over as kind of an interim, and then he took charge, and we got to the like kind of playoff final really for the championship in San Antonio, and he led us there, and yeah, he was just like kind of just different level kind of man management. Like he didn't take training. He kind of stepped in on. He took the team shape on a Friday, but the way he went about stuff, like talking to lads and how he dealt with things, is just like it was just top level really. He'd been at a bigger club, way a bigger club than any of us had played at, and he just knew how to deal with obviously big characters and stuff. And it was just a different level above anyone I've had really.
No, great name as well. Number 2, best teammate that you played with.
I was looking at these questions before. Really, I was racking my mind that there's been that many. I mean, to be honest, I'd probably say it just because I look at him when he plays on a Saturday. James Curtis, just like the way he's 41 year old. It's like literally unbelievable, like what he does. Because I know for a fact I'll definitely not be playing footy at 41, and certainly not be playing. If I never was, it wouldn't be in the National League North. Centre back every game. He's always fit. He's always, obviously, I played with good lads when I was a pro, but I've played with Curtis for 6 years now, and how good he is now. I mean, what he must have been like when he was like 30, 28, 30, you know what I mean? Must have been unbelievable. I never saw him play at that age, but how he never got a chance to play high is beyond me, because he's he's our best player. I know Tails bangs the goals in every year, but he's always our best player 9 times out of 10. He could probably win player of the season every year I've been here. Top lad, obviously great friend of mine, and he's just like like you say, he's there every week. He's never injured. He's just a top player. So I'd probably pick James Curtis.
Great shout. Number 4, best footballer moment.
Best footballing moment. Probably when I was in the last year of the junior school, and we had the district team when we got to Wembley and won kind of the national tournament. It was the old Wembley, so it was kind of just before it got knocked down. So we were kind of the last Northeast team to win there. It was like Carl Magnier played, couple of lads that went on to play. So it was like a 7-a-side national tournament. Obviously, you have regionals, and then there was 4 teams made the final. And obviously, our district team, Chester Street, tiny compared to some of the ones we were playing against, and we won it. So I would probably say that was probably my best foot one. Always so people ask us about something, or it's always there in the back of your mind, that moment when we all went down there, young'uns on the train, and it was just kind of I'd definitely say that when we won the tournament at Wembley, the old Wembley.
Excellent. I've seen a couple of comments came in there. I missed number 3 out. Number 3, best opposition player that you've played against, just who you kind of get the best of.
Well, to be honest, when we fought Lauderdale, with it being where it was, quite a few teams used to come and train. So we had obviously they used to play that international tournament in the summer with Man U and Liverpool and all the big clubs would come.
Yeah.
So we got lucky really. We played against we played some good teams before. We played against Juventus. Pog, they had all the superstars were there. Conte was the manager. So we had they had a big game the night before at the Dolphins Stadium. So I think they wanted 90 minutes for the lads that didn't play. So it was Pogba, Llorente, Giovinco, them at the back, Chiellini and people like that.
Class.
So it was just chasing shadows for 45 minutes. And Pogba was playing. He was a cut above. You think you're close. You think the gap's not very big until you play these lads. You know what I mean? And it's you haven't got a chance really. And then we played the Chile national team in the game. They were training at our training ground, and they wanted a 45-minute blast. So it was Alexis Sanchez was playing, and he was just out of this world. That was 2014.
Yeah.
So he was just frightening him, and is it Vidal in the middle?
Yeah.
But I'd probably say Sanchez. He was just frightening. Obviously he was at Barcelona. I think he might have just gone to Arsenal, one of the two. But he was just you never say anything like it. So I'd probably say Alexis Sanchez. I'm just name dropping here. I'm not name dropping. But it's obviously the best player. The best player, it's got to be one of them. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's got to be, hasn't it? And then just before we get to number 5, our final question, just a couple of comments that came as well. Niall, thank you very much for watching as always, mate. Really appreciate it. Stephen's just asking, what impact do the fans have on players' motivation? I know I've seen it yesterday, obviously, Maxim, every time the ball touched the ball, he was waiting for the ball to come to his feet, getting an interception. It was just not boos, but groans, and you could just see him sinking and sinking lower. I mean, what's it like? Like you say, Spennymoor, for example, it's quite hostile sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is hostile, like I say, but I think we've got an experienced group now, so you kind of you kind of. Obviously, I'll never say you completely get used to it because no one likes criticism in that. But
yeah,
it's kind of water off a duck's back now. You see things, you play well, you're great, you play bad, and you're shite. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It's. Does it get you sometimes? Maybe if you're having a stinker or if you're having a couple of bad games, but especially in a big crowd at a big stadium like that, it might get you. You know what I mean? They're not robots. Them lads are the same as us. You know what I mean? They don't want. No one wants to get booed, but it's swings and roundabouts. You can't just take all the applause. You got to take the criticism, and that people pay the money and they've got a right to say it. Just how do they say things? Some things at times you don't agree with stuff fans saying. I think it's kind of different at that level because you're not really going to see anyone or bump into people that kind of criticise you. And, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Non-league fans, you kind of in the bar with them after the game, and it's it's just a bit different. But it is what it is. Like I say, fans, they can criticise it. You know what I mean? I've got no problem with anyone saying I've had a bad game, or but it's just when they kind of question your character or your intentions and stuff. It's kind of that they're difficult to take. You know what I mean? But if someone criticizes how you play, it's not a problem to me. But some lads might just go in the shell and it affects them. But it doesn't really bother me. Like,
yeah. And the football show's asking. I just want to ask how Rama's not playing higher.
Yeah, obviously, I think, like I said, we've got a good group, and I think a lot of the lads have had a chance to play higher.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of, if you're enjoying something, why kind of break it up? You know what I mean? Like Glenn Taylor had obviously scored goals, and if you score goals, you're going to get interest. And Glenn's kind of had chances to go higher, and he's got a good job. Like, he's comfortable with his job. He's got a young family. Do you really want to break that up to go and have a chance? Everyone's different. Some people might want to do it, and Rama's comfortable here. He's got his work, and he enjoys spending. Like I say, you're playing with your best mates. You know what I mean? If Rama was to move on, his football might be the thing that takes the hit, and he's not going to play as well. So obviously he's got every attribute to play higher. Rama. He's one of the fittest lads I've ever played with. Probably the fittest lad I've ever played with. He can run for days. He's fit. He's strong. He's a runner, and he'd play for most teams. So, but he's comfortable and he's happy doing what he's doing. So that's probably the reason why he hasn't made a move higher.
And back row question number 5: your funniest footballing moment?
That's difficult as well. I mean, there's that many. There's that many. I'm trying to think. Like, there's always something that's. Trying to think. Probably the one, I wouldn't say a funniest footballing moment, but I've had a few when I lived in the summer. I probably couldn't even say half of them. I had a summer with Joe Tate in New Orleans, and it was just like every week was just a different story. Like, he's all right now. Like, he's calmed right down, but he was a disaster He was a disaster back then. Just one of them. Like, like if something bad's happened, it's down to Tatey. But he's there was one in New Orleans, and if anyone that knows Joe Tate, this story will be like, they'll be giggling themselves, because he's been there all summer. He's battered a few lads, Americans, who don't really understand the banter. A couple of them have like packed the bags and gone home because they can't take the banter anymore. So they've started a kind of a thing off during the week on the Monday, saying that we're going to go to a pool party on Saturday night. And Tatey's like right up for it, like banging into it. Like, he's one of them. Like, if he's gonna do something, he does it 100%. So he's like messaging me all week, like, what you're wearing, like this, that. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get some armbands. Like, I'll get one of them little dinghies. We'll wear them dinghies round us, them them unicorns or whatever. And he's like, right, sound. So all the lads have gone downstairs in the whole where we were staying in the hotel in Bourbon Street on a Saturday night. So there's like loads of people in this hotel, random people. All the lads are downstairs, obviously dressed just for a normal night out. And then the lift's open, and Tatey's come out in a vest, swim shorts, armbands on, and some flip-flops. And if anyone that knows Joe Tate, mate, it just cracked up. He'd been battering people the whole summer, like, really bad. And it was just like the best thing ever when he saw his face, and it was like unbelievable. That's one that sticks out. Everyone talks about it all the time. The lads who play with him at that time, it's just always one that gets brought up.
Oh, it's class. That, like Steve just mentioned, there's unreal. Some of the names that's being mentioned as well tonight, absolutely fantastic as well. But no, Mark, honestly, thank you so much for coming out tonight.
No, thanks, great no problem, mate. Anytime, mate. Thank you for that.
Excellent. And again, thank you to our sponsors. Again, everyone that's been watching all night as well. Really appreciate your support. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe as well. Coming up Thursday night, we have the North East Non-League Show, 9:10, episode 19, which we're looking at the title chasing special, going from the National League all the way down to the Northern League Division 2, looking at the title races in there. We've got sports journalist Luke Dryden coming on as well, making his debut on the channel, so can't wait for that one as well. But again, everybody watching, and Mark, I hope you enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, thank you, mate. Bye.